Monster Melee! Morg versus Weep.
Hello out there, all you boggles and ghouls. Welcome to another Monster Melee Spooktacular. Doing things a little bit differently this time. I've taken a couple of 3rd edition monsters, technically 3.5, and converted them over to 5th edition. These are some horror creatures, things that are honestly too shocking or too hardcore for 5th edition, which has kind of made things more tame. We are looking at the Morg and the Weep. Actually, this fight's going to be 2 Morgs versus 1 Weep, which is a bit stronger of a creature. In making my 5th edition conversions, I've really tried to stay true to the spirit of these creatures to capture their essence and their main features, while at the same time to make them flow well with 5th edition and give them a little bit of a spice up, you know, a little bit of a remake. I am going to be putting these 2 stat blocks on my Patreon page just as like a free public post, so go check that out if you want to download them. The link is down in the video description. Also on my Patreon page you can see a number of the newsletters and maps that I create, including this map here, the Carceral of the Shunned. You might recognize it from a previous Monster Melee Spooktacular, kind of a dark and shadowy one. The Morg is a medium undead with a chaotic evil alignment, challenge rating of 8, armor class is 18, hit points 90, and a standard 30-foot walking speed. The Morg's strengths: it has resistance to necrotic, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, and immunity to poison, exhaustion, and paralyzed. Its slam attacks they're decent and they can grapple, though its real striking attack is its viscera tongue, which deals a bit of necrotic damage, and the target must succeed on a constitution save or be paralyzed for a minute with ongoing saves at the end of the turn. I've also given it a grotesque reflexes bonus action, so whenever it dashes, disengages, or dodges, it can still attack with that viscera tongue as a bonus action. In terms of weaknesses, it has somewhat low mental saves, really nothing good there, and no ranged capabilities. This is a melee-only creature. Speaking of which, check out the Weep. This thing is just horrid, just terrifying. The basics here is that the Weep is a medium undead with a lawful evil alignment, challenge rating of 11, armor class of 21, 110 hit points, and a standard speed of 30 feet walking. Has a number of strengths. It has a high AC. It has resistance to necrotic, psychic, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, immunity to poison, blinded, and exhaustion, good strength, con, and wisdom saves, blind sight out to 60 feet, regeneration of 10 hit points at the beginning of its turn. Radiant damage can shut that off for a round, but no radiant in this fight. It's quite strong in melee. It has a recharge ability of blinding nails, where it flings out like almost a telekinetic thing, like sends nails into the eyes of its enemies and tries to puncture, like put out their eyes. And that's a permanent blindness. It can poke out people's eyes or destroy creatures' ocular faculties. There's a dex save to avoid that, and if the eyes get put out, the creature would really need like a lesser restoration, regenerate, heal, some kind of magic to regenerate or recover its eyesight. Also has a weeping dirge effect. It's this wailing, this terribly sorrowful, agonizing wailing that creatures who hear it take psychic damage and become frightened of the Weep. It doesn't have too many weaknesses. It has a low intelligence, don't know how much that'll come into play here, and I would say limited range capabilities. It has some with the wailing and those nails, but it doesn't have just a reliable at-will ranged attack. Have you checked out Monstrous Heroes yet? If not, make sure to do so. It's my most recent 5e book. It has an incredible 17 monster classes in there, full classes. They have racial traits, they have class features all the way through 20th level, and this works for either players who want to play a monstrous character or for GMs who want to be able to create more in-depth monstrous NPCs. There's like vampires, werewolves, revenants, hags, a spider-like arachneer. There's an eldritch aberration called the Paracosma, which spawns out of the dreams of outer gods. There are ogres, trolls, elementals, stone constructs, even dragons. There are also feats and spells and campaign setting concepts. There's just a whole bunch packed into there. Check out the link down in the video description to get your copy in beautiful hardcover or PDF. Rest assured, this is not a book that you just want to skip over. It's going to add a whole new dimension to your campaigns. All right, a quick update as we start things off here. My initial plan was to do 2 Morgs versus 1 Weep, I just did like a play test of that, and the Weep just annihilated them. So I've upped to 3 Morgs versus the Weep. I still think I would bet on the Weep. It's really good against these Morgs. Let's see how it goes though. All right, so I will roll now. Initiative. We've got Morg number 2, Weep, Morg 3, and then Morg 1. Let's kick this off. Morg 2 is going to move to there, and it's going to use its grotesque reflexes to, after a dash, use a bonus action to attack with its tongue. That's a 19 to hit, not good enough. And we go on to the Weep. The Weep's actually going to start off with blinding nails against this Morg right here. So it sends out these 2 large size, kind of rusty iron nails right at the Morg's face, like right into its eye sockets. And it makes a dexterity saving throw. It's a DC of 17. Nat 7 plus 4, that is not good enough. And the nails like jam right into the eye sockets of the Morg, and it has been blinded. And as a bonus action, the Weep is going to use its Weeping Dirge, and it cries out in a horrific wail of agony. And the Morgs are going to make wisdom saving throws, which are not really their strong suits. They only have a +1 against DC 17. So we've got Morg 2 got a nat 16. So Morg 2 actually exactly succeeded. Morg 1 fails with a 12. And then Morg 3 also rolled a nat 16 and exactly succeeded. So those who succeed on the save become immune to it for 24 hours. So it's just the Morg 1. And it's also going to take 2d8 of psychic damage. So 9 psychic damage to the Morg, and it is terrified of the Weep. Should the Weep move a bit? Yeah, I think it will. It's gonna go this way towards these other 2 Morgs. So it moves over there. Morg number 3. I think Morg 3 is gonna try a tactic of just using grotesque reflexes as much as possible. I think ideally it's gonna be dodge plus grotesque reflexes. Yeah, so it can exactly do it. So it goes to there, uses dodge for its action, and then as a bonus action does a tongue. So a real low damage, but potentially can paralyze, and going to try to maintain that dodge for extra defensiveness. All right, attack roll with the tongue. That is nat 19. That'll be good enough, and it is going to deal 7 halved due to resistance is 3 necrotic damage to the Weep. And the Weep must make a Constitution saving throw. It has a pretty good con save. It's got a +8. Oh, but rolled a nat 4. Only a 12, and the Weep is paralyzed. Well, since Morg 1 can't move closer at all, really it's just going to dodge and then make a Wisdom save at the end of its turn. Nat 10 isn't going to do it. Does it take more psychic damage? Yeah, so whenever it fails that, it takes the 2d8 psychic damage again. So there's 5 more psychic. All right, we go to Morg number 2. It is blinded, has these like big nails jammed through its sockets and like cracks spreading through its face. But it's not frightened, so it's not going to be given up, and it will come over here to fight the paralyzed Weep. It has disadvantage for being blinded, plus advantage for the Weep being paralyzed, so that will just even out to 3 normal attacks. So there's going to be Slam, Slam, and Viscera, Tongue. Normally I give +2 to hit for flanking. It is flanking because the Viscera Tongue has reach, but in this case it can't benefit from flanking because it can't see the target. So it's got a 17 to 21 and a 19 to 21 is a hit. So that's like the second slam attack that hit. The Weep will resist this. 8 turned to 4. All right, we go to the Weep's turn. Recharge roll for the blinding nails. Successful recharge. Let's see. Regenerates 10 hit points. I guess technically it should have gotten 3 back at the start of its last turn, right? The 3 from that Viscera Tongue. Doesn't matter though. It's at full hit points now. And then at the end of its turn, it makes a repeated con save against the paralysis. All right, here we go. It's got a +8. 14 is exactly the DC, and it has overcome the paralysis. Morg number 3 will continue its strategy. So it's going to dodge as its action, make a Viscera Tongue attack. That is a critical hit. Very nice. I'll just roll the 2d6 because it's resisted anyhow. So 6 necrotic damage to the Weep, and then it will move. It will do its 30 feet of speed and go to there. And then Morg number 1 is the one that's frightened, so it can't move any closer. It will dodge, and then at the end of its turn, repeats the wisdom save to try to get rid of frightened. And that is a failure, and it takes another 2d8 of psychic damage. There's 8 psychic. And Morg number 2, the blinded one, will be attacking with just complete disadvantage now due to being blinded. Looks like I got a nat 14 in there though. So that's 21 exactly hits, and then misses with the other slam and the tongue. Slam damage is only 7, just a mere 3 to the weep. These guys just can't put enough damage on this weep. It just regenerates back. Maybe Morg number 3's tactic of continuing to dodge just isn't going to be the right way to go about this. We'll see, we'll see. So we go to the weep's turn. It recovers 10 hit points and is back to full once again. And its 3 disgusting mouths are all attacking the Morg. We've got a 28, a 19, and a 27. Those are all hits. So that is a total of, well, let's do half on the piercing. 33, so that's like 16 piercing plus 20 acid, so 36 damage total to the Morg. That's a pretty decent chunk. Already has taken it down like into the yellow. Morg number 3, I think it will do this dodge or dash. How about that? Let's dash so we can get 5 more feet and then bonus action tongue. So it will at least benefit from the +2, and it seems like the weep is focusing on the blinded skeleton. That gives it a total of a 19 to hit. Not good enough. All right, we go to Morg number 1, the frightened one who's really been frozen out of this fight so far. And it's going to make the wisdom saving throw, looking for a nat 16 or higher. Not good enough. And it is going to take another 2d8 of psychic damage. There is 8 damage to it. Morg 2, blindly fighting, hoping with all of the animosity that it can muster that it can hit the target somehow. The nat 7, nat 1, and nat 5, none of those are going to do it. Go to the weep's turn, and it will do its 3 bite attacks with advantage. 27, 17, and 24, so that looks like 2 hits. All right, there we go. And it is dealing 12 piercing plus 13 acid, so 25 damage total to that Morg, and it is down into the red now. It'll probably just stay where it's at, and we go to Morg 3 to make a full multi-attack routine. Slam, slam, Viscera Tongue, +2 to hit from flanking. 20, 16, and 29. So only the Viscera Tongue hit, and that's going to be resisted. So 9 turns to 4 necrotic damage to the Weep, and the Weep must make a Constitution saving throw. It has a +8, 18 is well good enough. And Morg number 1 dodges once again, makes the wisdom save, hoping for a nat 16 or higher. Not happening, and it is going to take yet again 2d8s of psychic damage, though quite a low roll, just 4 psychic damage. It has just been completely locked out of this fight due to the fear. Morg number 2, 3 blind attacks, 16, 10, and 20. None of those are good enough. If only it could benefit from flanking, but its face has been veritably shattered by the blinding nails. Weep's turn. Recovers back the little bit of damage that it had taken. Oh my gosh. All right, so here we go. Attacks with advantage. 2 hits, 23 and 30. I'll roll these bites separately in case it somehow is able to deal enough damage. The first bite is 12 damage, and the second bite is like 4. It's only 6. Okay, yeah, pretty low there, but it's down to just a sliver of its hit points. All right, Morg 3, what do you have? Slam, slam, Viscera Tongue. Nat 1 on the first slam isn't going to do it, but 22 and 26, we got a slam that hits and a Viscera Tongue that hits. Oof, low rolls on the damage. Only a total of 5 damage to the Weep, which was it full from its regeneration. Weep makes a con save against the paralysis. Nat 1, it has been paralyzed yet again. This really is the Morg's hope of destroying the Weep, is getting it paralyzed and like multiple critical hits stacking up before it gets free of the paralysis. But with the blinded one and the one frozen out back there with the fear, I just don't see it happening. But let's play it out. Morg number 1, wisdom saving throw at the end of its turn. Not good enough. Takes another 2d8 of psychic damage. It's taking 10. And then we go to Morg number 2. Can you critical hit a paralyzed target even if you're blinded? Yes, you can. You can critical hit a paralyzed target within 5 feet even if you can't see it. I guess that makes sense. I mean, you can crit normally even if you can't see the target. So just straight 1d20 rolls because it has advantage and disadvantage canceling it out. It actually got a nat 20 in there. Nat 20 was going to be a crit anyways. A 12 is a miss, and a 21 is a crit on the tongue. So this is 3d8 plus 10 bludgeoning plus 4d6 necrotics, and this is all half damage due to it being resistant. So 43 reduced to 21. That resistance plus the regeneration together, that's just killer. What else? The Weep's already paralyzed, so no need to make the roll there. We'll make the roll at the end of its turn, and let's not forget the fast healing. So there's 10 hit points back. It's not at full, it's at 94. There's a slight glimmer of hope. Con save has +8, just needs a 6 or higher. Ooh, a nat 2, it has failed. Morgs, come on, this is your chance. This is your chance right here. Morg number 3, 3 attacks at advantage plus flanking. So it has like a +10 in this case. 26, 18, 28. So it's got a hit on a slam and a hit on a tongue. All right, again, resisted. 27, resisted to 13. Not as good of a roll there. Morg number 1, if you were in there, I think there would be a chance to pull off a victory for the Morgs, but it's just dying of fear, literally dying of fear. Takes 4 more psychic damage. How many rounds? That's like a 1 minute. That is 1 minute of fear, so the effect will time out eventually. I guess technically the Weep could use that bonus action dirge on each of its turns and try to do another 2d8 psychic, though that is giving the target like another chance to succeed and break free and get the immunity to it. Here we go. Morg number 2, slam, slam, tongue. Looks like there might be 1 or 2 hits in there. 10 is a miss, 21 and 27 are hits, so we got a slam and a tongue hit once again. All right, so this is counting as a critical slam and a critical tongue. 26 is reduced to 13. The Weep is down to 68, kind of going into the yellow here. The slightest glimmer of hope for these skeletons. Weep's turn is going to try to get rid of that paralysis. Just has to get a nat 6 or higher. That'll certainly do it. All right, now we go into Morg number 3 with its 3 flank attacks. Slam, slam, tongue. And this looks, ooh, got a crit in there. We have a hit on the first slam, miss on the second slam, and a crit on the tongue. All right, so it's going to be 4d6 on the crit. All this is going to be resist. Oh my gosh, what a low roll on that critical. Ugh. 16 reduces to 8. And the Weep makes his con save against potential paralysis. Nat 19 will certainly save. I just realized I did not actually do the Weep's regeneration at the start of its last turn, so let's do that now. It's back up to 70, so not doing too terribly. I still think the Weep's got this one in the bag. Morg number 1 at the end of its turn is going to make a save against fear, and actually pulls it off this time and is no longer frightened. Does the slight glimmer of hope continue for these disgusting Morgs? Well, let's move on to the 3 disadvantage attacks from Morg number 2. 14, 11, and 25. The tongue is a hit, and that's going to do a mere 2 necrotic damage. And the Weep will make a con save against paralysis. Nat 11 will be just fine and well. On to the Weep's turn. Regenerates 10 at the start of its turn, back up to 78. I think it's going to annihilate this Morg now. First bite attack with advantage. That will be quite a hit, and it's going to... It deals 8 damage. Got a bit of a low roll there. Morg still in there, hanging on at just a couple hit points. And the Weep will make its next attack. Any hit is going to destroy... Any hit will destroy the Morg. Nat 7, 18. That's exactly a hit. and Morg 2 has been eliminated. And the Weep turns its focus onto Morg number 3. Nat 1 on the attack is going to be an automatic miss. Morg 3, I imagine, is calling for its ally to get in there. Morg is fairly intelligent, intelligence of 11. I think it's going to move over to there to set up a flank with its ally, who will hopefully be coming in. And it will go ahead and make the 3 attacks. Hit, miss, hit. So we got a slam and a tongue attack that have both hit. Not a great damage roll on that slam there. 17 reduces to 8, and the Weep will make a con save to resist the paralysis. Succeeds on that, and we go to Morg number 1. Moves there. It will dodge as the action and do the bonus action grotesque reflexes for an attack, a flank attack at that with the tongue. That is going to be a hit. See if it can actually roll some damage that's worth anything. Just 3 damage after resistance. Weep makes a con save. Nat 16 is good enough. And Weep regenerates 10 at the start of its turn. Will it attack? I guess it'd be provoking an opportunity attack to get over to that one. It might actually do the blinding nails. Yeah, I think it'll do blinding nails against Morg number 3. So Morg 3 is going to make a dexterity saving throw. It's got a +4, so pretty good, though only an 8. Yes! Its eye sockets have been stabbed through and cracked, and now it is blinded. And we go to Morg 3's turn. It will attack blindly now. Oh my. I told you I'd bet on the Weep. Nat 15 is good enough, so it does hit with 1 slam attack, and it's going to deal 5 damage total to the Weep. And Morg 1, be done with the dodge. It will come in here for a 3 attack flank. None of them managed to hit. The tongue was like just 1 under a hit onto the Weep, and it will regenerate 10. Yeah, that's the thing. If these Morgs can't keep putting consistent, decently high damage onto the Weep every single round, then that regeneration just makes it recover from the attacks and just undoes their progress. I'm thinking the Weep is going to continue its attacks against the damaged Morg. It's at like half its hit points. I'll check the recharge on the blinding nails too. No go on the recharge. And here we go with the 3 bite attacks. Only 1 hit lands for the bite. And the Weep is going to deal 9 damage total to the Morg. So actually pretty low damage round there for the Weep. Morg 3 makes its blind attacks. Slam, slam, and tongue. We've got a hit on the tongue. Deal 3 necrotic to the Weep. And the Weep will make con save. Nat 19, it will certainly not be paralyzed. Morg number 1 is going to make 3 flank attacks here. First slam is a hit, and the Weep only takes a mere 3 damage. Weep's turn regenerates back to 86. We'll make 3 attacks against the damaged Morg. 20, 17, and 22, those are all hits. This is going to be pretty big, I imagine. 52, half is 26. The end is nigh. Morg 3 attacks with the 2 slams and a tongue. Comes up with 1 hit on just its second attack, on the second slam rather. And that will be just for a measly 4 damage to the Weep. And Morg number 1, in great desperation, is going to make its routine of attacks. The second slam is going to be a hit, and even rolling max 13 still is nothing, because the Weep comes back to its turn and regenerates 10 hit points. Weep makes its first bite attack, hits. No matter what, that's going to be destroying Morg 1, and I think I'm going to call it there. The Weep, makes its assault against Morg number 3. A single Morg, even not blinded, there's no way that it's going to take down the Weep. The Morg's miserable existence is brought to an end. Weep, what a powerful creature. I think just the Morgs couldn't quite affect it quite the same as they would normally be able to against maybe player characters. but a grisly and gruesome battle to be sure. I enjoyed that one. Everybody, I wish you a happy Halloween. I hope you enjoy yourselves, whatever you get into. I look forward to seeing you in the next Monster Melee. May your adventures be many.